In honor of the holiday, volunteers at a local nonprofit spent their day of service helping the homeless. People in Need. It's a nonprofit that helps homeless people get into a house and get training for a job. Well, today, volunteers were at Hammer and Stein making decorative items to give homeless people something personal to one day put in their own home. The organization's founder spoke about the importance of having something of your own.
We put things on the wall that mean something because it's our place. And one of the most important things for homeless people is for them to see that they have something. Because for so many people that live outside, they don't have a place. They're in the public specter, and so somebody could say, move along. And so having your own place is critically important to somebody, and so that's what this will symbolize.
Organizers went on to say that this is an important way for the group to help in the community on this holiday.
Security is incredibly tight throughout Washington 2 days before Joe Biden's inauguration.
A fire near the Capitol triggered a brief lockdown this morning as tensions remain high. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand reports.
The Capitol complex went on temporary lockdown and an inauguration rehearsal was evacuated. It turned out to be a small fire under a nearby highway, but the scare illustrates the heightened state of security in Washington, D.C. Law enforcement and National Guard troops from states across the country are still arriving at the nation's capital ahead of Wednesday's inauguration. President-elect Joe Biden will take the oath of office outside on the West Front, despite the continued security threats in the wake of this month's attack on the Capitol. But access to the public is limited between the security concerns and the pandemic. Even the 20,000 plus troops that have come here to help stand guard must undergo screening. The National Guard says if there's any indication of extremist views, it would be handed over to law enforcement or handled within the chain of command. More than 20 current or former members of the U.S. military or law enforcement have been identified as being at or near the riot on January 6th. Jim McDonnell is the former L.A. County Sheriff.
This is a very, very important day in American history, and we all have an obligation to ensure that it is as safe as possible for everybody, not only in D.C., but across the United States as well.
Less than 48 hours before he's set to be sworn in, President-elect Biden visited a food bank in Philadelphia in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, packing boxes on this day of service. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
FBI officials say they will be vetting all National Guard members stationed in Washington this week. Defense officials are concerned there could be an insider attack or threat from service members involved in securing the inauguration. So far, there have been no potential threats flagged.
And National Guard members are not the only ones being called in. Local officers from the Virginia Beach Police Department are also heading out to assist. A few dozen left this morning to help ensure a safe inauguration. Police Chief Paul Newdigate tweeted out this photo earlier today.
In addition to the focus on the nation's capital, guards at the state capitol in Richmond are preparing to protect against any possible armed protests. The Capitol and the blocks surrounding the building have been shut down. Extra police officers are patrolling the area, and authorities have put up notices to forbid carrying guns. So far, 8,500 soldiers of the National Guard are on standby in Virginia. Starting tomorrow, all the highway bridges connecting Virginia and Washington will be closed.
All right, well, we are tracking dry conditions out there, and looks like the dry stretch, that's going to be continuing as we head through the entire week. But I do have one day where we could see some showers. I'll let you know what day that is coming up.
Or should they go? Once again, Virginia lawmakers are deciding whether to allow skilled gaming machines to keep operating at local stores and restaurants across the Commonwealth.
The machines could be banned this summer, but now there is a new push to allow them to stay. News 3 reporter Brendan Ponton has a look at their impact.
I know it just seems like a win-win situation for small business owners and for Virginia.
A year ago, Melody Weekly, the owner of Mel's Place in Virginia Beach, showed us the skilled gaming machines inside her restaurant. At the time, the so-called gray machines were unregulated and untaxed. A year later, they are taxed. The General Assembly has allowed them to stay in place, but right now they could be banned after June 30th.
I think they make a huge difference on a lot of the small businesses in our area.
With COVID restrictions continuing to take their toll on business, restaurant owners are hoping Virginia lawmakers will allow them to keep the machines running.
They've made a huge difference. Without them, I probably would not have survived the COVID restrictions.
Lawmakers are considering a proposal to allow them to continue to operate through summer 2022.
Every day I get calls from locations thankful that they have our games. Because they have our games, they're able to keep their doors open.
Gina Bozek is the general manager of Queen of Virginia Skill and Entertainment. Her company has distributed the most of these games in Virginia. Governor Northam says they've brought in tens of millions of dollars for the state and is proposing using that money to help small businesses.
I don't think anybody expected that this pandemic would be extended as far as it's been. Fund should be extended to continue to be a lifeline for the small businesses.
The games are similar to video slot machines but require some skill. Advocates hope they can operate for another year, but beyond that, their future is unclear.
We know that casinos are coming into the state, and that's a big part of what the administration's looking to get a lot of taxes. And we are 100% just focused on getting extended one more year.
Another potential year of help for an industry that continues to struggle during the pandemic. In Norfolk, Brendan Ponton, News 3.
Today kicks off Lobby Day at the state capitol, and gun rights activists typically make a large organized appearance each year to lobby legislators. Well, today they orchestrated a series of caravans through the city decked out with pro-gun messages. Richmond's mayor says that they've been planning for weeks for this year's Lobby Day, but ramped up those security plans following violence at our nation's capital.
From the JES First Warning Weather Center, here's meteorologist April Loveland.
Well, it's nice to have another dry day out there. And as we take a live look over downtown Norfolk, we are in for a dry and a cold night. And according to the Climate Prediction Center, they're saying we are going to be dealing with low rain chances all week, which is really nice. And we can look at our rain chances here back at home and really matching up with the Climate Prediction Center. We're not looking at anything for Tuesday or Wednesday. 10% chance on Thursday, 20% chance on Friday, and nothing again on Saturday. So a nice dry stretch of weather. Taking a look at first warning radar, just a few clouds rolling in, but they will continue to kind of roll out of here as we head overnight, and that's going to allow our temperatures to drop. Now, our future cast will see plenty of sunshine starting the day on Tuesday. Pretty much the same story as we had through the afternoon and evening. A few passing clouds here and there. We'll start off with a little bit more cloud cover on Wednesday morning, but then those will move out once again. We just have a couple disturbances moving in and out. They're dry, so we're not expecting any rain, but we're just looking at a few clouds here and there. Now our wind forecast, those are going to be going up again as we head into tomorrow afternoon. They're not going to be quite as breezy as what we saw out there today, and it's not going to be quite as cold either. Our winds tomorrow are actually going to be out of the southwest, so that will help to boost our temperatures just a little bit. We'll see those die down a little bit overnight and then pick back up on Wednesday. So Wednesday, going to be another brisk day, and we can look at our wind chill forecast as we fast forward to Wednesday here. Starting out in the morning, we'll see the upper 20s for inland Virginia. This is what temperatures are actually going to be feeling like. 30s for the rest of us, and as you can see, those wind chills staying in the 30s throughout the day, really not moving a whole lot. And then as we head into the evening hours and that sunsets, those wind chills dipping down into the low 30s again. So we do have some cold weather ahead on Wednesday, but today we saw very seasonal temperatures, basically normal for this time of year. Gary and Lake Smith saw a high of 51, 50 from Tammy and Ivor. Eric a high of 48 in James City County. We saw a high from 50 from Susie and Fox Hill. Scott a high of 50 there in Castleton, and another 50 from Scott in Churchland. Tomorrow afternoon, even milder. We'll see 56 for Southside, 54 for the Peninsulas, 55 for North Carolina. Plenty of sunshine out there. Pretty quiet day weather-wise once again, and as we look at our temperature trend, we'll see highs around 55 tomorrow. That is going to be our mild day of the week, because then we have a drop in temperatures on Wednesday. We'll see the low 50s Thursday and Friday, and then another drop heading into Saturday. So the next 3 days here, don't need that umbrella. Gonna need the sunglasses though, and probably want to hold on to those hats or whatever you're gonna need to keep yourself warm on Wednesday, because it is going to be on the cold side. It's also gonna be on the breezy side with a high around 47. 51, partly cloudy for Thursday. Same story heading into Friday. Feeling a little on the cold side for the weekend. We'll see those highs in the low 40s, feeling like the 30s though on Saturday. It's going to be another blustery day. So unfortunately that wind sticking around with us for most of the day, for most of the week actually. And then on Monday, that's going to be our next weather system as of now, looking at about a 40% chance for some scattered showers. But pretty nice to have an entire 7-day with very low rain chances.
So tomorrow's the warm spot.
It is a warm spot after a very cold start to the day, but we will warm up nicely, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it out there tomorrow.
That's the only problem. You have to get that really cold start to the day and wait for it to finally get up to the 50s.
Yep.
We'll take it. All right, April, thank you. Well, on this Martin Luther King Day, many Americans use the holiday as a day of service.
But a kindergartner in Indianapolis is already well on her way in making a difference. Naomi Ruckham has her story.
This is the book of the King of Kindergarten.
At just 5 years old, Amor Coleman is a little girl with big ideas.
Hi, I'm Amor. Welcome to the book drive.
Amor goes to kindergarten in Indianapolis, where she noticed the books she reads in class rarely include characters that look like her. So she decided to fix that.
We're collecting books to show the Black History Month from my friends at my school.
With help from her mother, she launched a book drive to collect stories about people of different races and ethnic backgrounds, one for each student in her grade.
Here is a page of the book.
Previewing the options on Instagram.
It makes me feel that we can give books out to other people so they can learn about our history too.
She put her wish list on Amazon, and the books came pouring in. Instead of a few dozen, several hundred have already been donated. Amor's mother hopes it's been a meaningful experience for her daughter.
I hope that she feels empowered and proud, and feel like that she, even at the age of 5, can make an impact at her school and the community.
Teaching us all a lesson about the ABCs of activism.
Don't tease people if you're Black and if they're white.
And why we're never too young to make a difference. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Laughter is just what we need during these difficult times. Coming up, how a local comedy club is staying afloat through the pandemic.
Comedy Theater in Norfolk continues to work through the challenges of the pandemic like many other small businesses.
News 3 reporter Margaret Kavanaugh spoke with the co-owner about what they are doing to stay afloat and what's in store for their future.
It's a place that provides joy and laughter. This is what it looked like pre-COVID at Push Comedy Theater in Norfolk. Co-owner and creator Brad McMurrin says COVID has put a major strain on their operation.
It's been really tough, and small businesses can tell you this all across the state. I don't mind. It's funny, I never ever believed I'd be political until you're in it. And it's like, yeah, we're not getting a whole lot of help. And that's been really frustrating.
This Portsmouth native says he's traveled the country teaching improv to over 30,000 people over the years and performing.
I love teaching improvisation more than anything in the world.
A craft he's passionate about. COVID has created some major challenges.
We'll have virtual classes, online classes for improvisation. We're about to announce this wonderful thing where it's called a date night, where you can take a couple that can buy an improv class, and the two of you at home through virtual, we can do improv together.
Brad says the goal is to utilize this space that's located directly across the street from Push Comedy.
I'll go ahead and announce it. Yeah, the unusual suspects coming to the plot, to La Brioche, if you know that lovely bakery, and that it's going to be very small groups, depending on COVID. You know, we're all crossing fingers, but that's in March. And then the all-girls 10th annual Panties in a Twist, the all-girls show, is coming back.
He says future plans depend on what happens with COVID, but he's optimistic.
But I've had a great community here that's kept us alive. We are still alive. We are going to have a season, but it's been hard.
Hopeful for the future, a vaccine, and continuing to provide laughter to those around him. I'm Margaret Kavanaugh for News 3.
Between winter weather and COVID-19, a lot of people are spending more time at home watching streaming services. But the Better Business Bureau is warning people of a Netflix scam. So this is how the scam works. You get a text message saying something like, due to the pandemic, Netflix is offering everyone a free year of service. Click the link to sign up. If you click, you'll be taken to a website to fill out your personal info and add a payment method. but this is not run by Netflix. The BBB is warning against clicking that link if you receive the message.
It is a bizarre problem for some people who contract the coronavirus. Still ahead, the challenges some folks are facing months after recovering from COVID.
We've just learned part of a residential area has been evacuated because of a gas leak in Perquimans County, North Carolina. This afternoon, a natural gas line was hit while crews were making utility repairs. The line that was hit is near the intersection of Edenton Road and Market Street, so there's a rectangular area that's been evacuated. It's between West Grub Street and Dobb Street, as well as South Church Street and Edenton Road. A shelter has been set up at the Perquimans County Recreation Center for people who are evacuated.
From the JES First Warning Weather Center, here's meteorologist April Loveland.
Well, fairly quiet night as we take a live look over downtown Norfolk. We have clearing skies out there and falling temperatures. 41 right now on the peninsula, is 46 for Southside, 40 in North Carolina. We still have a northwesterly wind around 14 miles per hour, making our temperatures feel just a little bit colder. Now our temperatures, those are going to be dropping overnight into the low 30s, so it's not going to take a whole lot of wind to make our temperatures feel closer to the 20s. So we're feeling a little colder tomorrow morning. 28 for Franklin, 29 as you're heading out in Portsmouth, 29 in Chesapeake. Up to the Eastern Shore and Peninsulas, we'll see 29 in Yorktown, 28 in Hampton, 30 in Cape Charles, and wind chills of 31 in Gatesville, feeling like 27 in Elizabeth City, and feeling like 33 in Duck. So definitely frigid start to the day tomorrow. So like I said, our air temperatures closer to the low 30s, but with that wind, it's going to feel closer to the 20s. So you're going to want some maximum warming as you're heading back to work tomorrow. So make sure you grab that big cup of coffee. Now I am tracking a lot of sunshine in the forecast and our next rain chance coming up.
Well, time to get a look now on the latest on how COVID is impacting Virginia. Officials in the Commonwealth reporting more than 7,000 new cases today. That brings the total number to more than 445,000 since the pandemic began. More than 19,000 people are hospitalized due to the virus.
And now taking a look at the entire U.S., the nation has now surpassed 24 million coronavirus cases. That's according to Johns Hopkins University. The first coronavirus case in the U.S. was reported a year ago. It took the country 304 days to reach 12 million cases and only 59 days to add another 12 million. Johns Hopkins also reports more than 398,000 people in the U.S. have died from COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. Now, if you get COVID-19, you may not be done with it after the initial sickness. Experts predict there are millions out there dealing with lasting symptoms.
Health experts call these patients long haulers. Reporter Margaret Kavanaugh looks at the challenges they still face months after getting COVID-19.
Heart problems caused Glenn Edwards to start running back when he was 54 years old.
Believe that the only reason I'm alive today is because of my exercise habits and the condition and shape that I'm in.
In tip-top shape, he was running a half marathon.
When I was training for that half, I felt the best I had ever felt.
Then he got COVID, but says his symptoms weren't too bad. He recovered and went back to his passion, running. But then more problems.
Issue coming on that I just don't understand why I'm getting worse. You know, I'm running and I should be getting better, but I'm feeling like I'm getting worse. The only thing that has happened to me since 2018 is COVID. The only thing. So for my heart to drop that much over that short period of time, you know, to the doctor is obvious.
Glenn is considered a COVID long hauler.
COVID long haulers are basically patients that have been infected with COVID-19 but have persistent symptoms, often for months at a time.
And the symptoms can vary.
Some also have like persistent coughing and tightness of the chest, and many complain of what's called brain fog, where they have cognitive dysfunction, where they're having trouble thinking as clearly as they did prior to getting infected with COVID.
It's hard to tell because there's little information about this, but several studies suggest that about 10% of COVID patients turn into long haulers.
The fatigue got so bad to the point where I literally felt like my soul was being taken out of my body little by little with a straw, if that makes any sense at all.
This woman says she's had problems for months.
Chickpeas, meat, and eggs all taste like metal. So it's been a very weird experience as far as that goes.
It's kind of scary because there's not enough information here for the professionals. They don't know what they don't know, They need more data. They're examining studies like mine all the time.
People like Dr. Scott Kelly, the chief medical officer for Cytrodyne, a biotechnology company about to start a clinical trial on long haulers.
We're all doing this really in real time, so it's kind of uncharted territory. So that's what we're working with the FDA right now.
He says they're hoping to find medication to treat long haulers.
Just don't take it for granted that because you had COVID and it's over, you're done. You might not be done.
Glenn still runs, but he's been forced to slow down.
Trying to get that into your mind, it's a little, it messes with you because I knew what I was doing. I want to do that again.
He wants to regain his full strength and stamina in a community of people he loves and wants to raise awareness about long haulers, many out there suffering long after they've been diagnosed with COVID. I'm Margaret Cavanaugh for News 3.
A spike in COVID-19 cases across the U.S. has led to a national shortage of convalescent plasma. That's the blood plasma taken from people who've recovered from COVID-19. It has antibodies that can help those who are sick from the virus. One mother of 4 in Georgia is pleading for people to donate after her battle with COVID-19. Part of her treatment when she was in ICU was convalescent plasma, and she says it gave her the strength to fight. But as COVID cases spike, the American Red Cross says the plasma is in short supply.
Plasma donors are still needed now to ensure patients continue to have access to all treatment options, including convalescent plasma, to help the patients beat the virus.
If you're interested in donating plasma or blood, you can schedule an appointment with the American Red Cross. A Chesapeake father recently released his first book.
It centers around his young son who feels lonely and suffers from low self-esteem after the family moved several times.
News 3 reporter Chelsea Donovan shares his story.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, nearly 33 million American families move into a new home each year.
We went through 3 big family moves as a family, moving for work.
Byron Gifford and his family recently moved from Illinois to Chesapeake, a hard move for his 11-year-old son, Evan.
This story and the impacts that it's had on my children through those moves is really the inspiration behind this.
After seeing the prolonged loneliness and feelings of disconnection it had on Evan, Gifford decided to put pen to paper.
This is my first book, the first story that I've published.
During quarantine, he wrote this book, Life with Graphy, Discovering Bravery.
Evan, my son, but Evan in the book, he finds out that he has to move to a new town. And in doing so, he's leaving behind his family home, all of his friends. One day, he's out shopping with his mom, and he meets a new best friend, a stuffed giraffe named Graphy. And little does he know that Graphy is extremely special and is going to help him learn how to be brave, meet new friends, and then most of all, that Evan's never alone.
Gifford hopes children will follow Evan's journey towards accepting bravery as he overcomes many anxieties they face, a book that is especially timely now during the pandemic when children are isolated.
I look at the book as being able to help you kind of increase that bravery, and whether it is virtual right now, still trying to challenge yourself to meet new friends.
Gifford also illustrated the book, which is getting rave reviews.
With this book, it allows him to be creative. I'm hearing from parents that the book was the first book that their children read from cover to cover.
For more information on how you can get a copy of Life with Graphy, head to our website, WTKR.com. I'm Chelsea Donovan for News 3.
While many are scrambling to get the COVID-19 vaccine, there are still questions for some. For instance, there isn't much known about how the vaccine would affect those who are fighting cancer. Doctors say there isn't much data to suggest that there would be any serious side effects from the vaccine itself. They say any protection is still better than none, especially in cancer patients who have weaker immune systems. But they add it is important for cancer patients to talk to their doctors first. Cancer patients, as well as other groups such as young children and pregnant women, will soon be eligible to take part in vaccine trials. Well, due to COVID, students have been dealing with virtual schooling for months, but there are some health concerns from all that screen time.
News 3 is taking action for your health. Reporter Angela Bohan has more after speaking with a doctor from EVMS.
With many children now forced to attend class through a computer screen, their bodies and minds may need some extra care. Dr. Shannon McColl, an ophthalmologist with Eastern Virginia Medical School in Norfolk, warns not only of vision concerns, but a medley of issues that she says come with spending too much time on screens.
It can be very activating.
This can also have an adverse effect for kids that are prone to ADHD, and it can really affect their sleep cycle.
This mom recognizes the effects.
When he spends too much time on the computer or on a video game or watching TV, we can definitely see an increase in the negative behaviors. So for me as a parent, it's very concerning to have all this time virtually.
Dr. McColl says excessive screen time can cause eye strain and eye dryness, which can be painful. It's important to blink often and give your eyes a break. Some are buying blue light blocking eyeglasses or screen protectors, anything to protect those baby blues. McColl says those might help, but there isn't a singular solution.
It's also, all spectrum of light, being up, looking at a screen, all of that does affect one's ability to kind of wind down.
Another concern is ergonomics. She encourages working at a desk where the computer is at a level that won't cause strain on neck muscles. And while McColl is an eye doctor, she's concerned about depression and anxiety that come along with being disconnected during the pandemic, and says reaching out online to family and friends can override vision concerns.
Using screens effectively to reach out to friends and to stay connected can be very important.
In Norfolk, Angela Bohan, News 3.
Well, after dry weather out there today, looks like we can continue with a nice dry stretch as we head through the next couple of days. A little chilly some days. I will let you know what day is going to feel like the 30s coming up.
Have changed the way many Americans cook, offering a healthier take on fried food.
Yeah, I love using ours. However, Consumer Reports cooking pros say there are some foods that you are better off cooking the old-fashioned way. So I found out when you should and should not use your air fryer when cooking. You can make all kinds of foods, even desserts, in an air fryer. And most veggies that you would usually oven roast come out perfectly in the basket if you pat them dry, then toss with some oil. But certain vegetables will disappoint. Although broccoli is delicious, it doesn't do well in an air fryer because of the tough stems. The time it takes them to become tender will leave the top scorched and bitter tasting.
The air fryer does a great job cooking meat, but you might not get the same sear that you'd get from a fry pan or a grill.
Can you make a juicy burger? Yes, an air fryer will quickly cook one to medium rare, but the gray surface pales in comparison to the tasty char you get in a cast iron pan. And is crispy chicken just a dream? Skin-on parts will cook through, but the skin might not brown evenly. You won't get the crisp skin that pan roasting achieves. Fish can come out nicely cooked, but they might have an unappetizingly hard, rubbery skin. Grilled cheese sandwiches that are buttered or brushed with oil will toast nicely, but the cheesy mess in the bin and the basket might not be worth it.
And even though breaded foods do really well in an air fryer, battered foods are a recipe for disaster. The coating doesn't set right away like it does when you cook in hot oil, which means that it can drip through the basket and even end up on the heating element.
And Consumer Reports notes that you don't have to spend a fortune. They found very good models for between $55 and $70. And when it comes to warranties, CR found a wide range. Some manufacturers cover for a year or two, but they also found warranties as short as 60 days.
Today, local Congresswoman Elaine Luria took part in the